Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Lika, how are you doing today?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing well.
Excellent, excellent. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
My name is Lika Torline, and I'm the owner of In the Weeds Premium Botanical Products.
Awesome, awesome. We so look forward to learning more about your business, but we want to learn a little bit more about your journey first. And we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources. So tell us a little bit about your story.
So my story started about 13 years ago, around this time, actually. And I had I joined my first job out of college after the recession. It was a difficult kind of time to find my niche. But at that time, I had had a back injury at that first job, less than a year into that job.
Hmm.
So that's kind of what led me to search another path.
Okay. Now, what were you doing on that particular job? You were doing it for how many years before you decided?
Not even a year.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
my degree is in interior design, and I graduated after the 2008 recession.
Hmm.
And during that time, there just wasn't a lot of jobs in my field. Even internships, I had even volunteered to work for free. And unfortunately, slash fortunately, they didn't have enough work for me to do. So I ended up working at the Lax Furniture Galleria in the Valley. They used to have some in this area, but
Hmm.
in South Texas, it's a huge furniture store, like 3 football fields.
Oh my goodness.
And I was the head decorator of that in that at that store, and they hired me to take over my boss's position. But after I had my back injury, they had some other plans, and I kind of got shysted out of it,
Hmm.
and I was a liability. And now that led me, instead of being the boss, I was still in that lead position, which was very physically demanding. It wasn't uncommon for me to have like a handful of nails, in my pockets when I, put my clothes in the laundry or anything
Hmm.
like that. I was always with a tape measure.
Hmm.
I was very, active. It was a very physically demanding job. But I wish it was like a little bit more interesting, but I was hanging a mirror and I just heard like a pop or felt a pop.
Hmm.
And I was like, maybe I just, stretched or something.
All right.
But it ended up being way more severe.
Okay.
And it was just, like I said, a physically demanding job. But when you're on medication during a physically demanding job, it's, for lack of better terms, it sucks. Like
I
it's
got you.
just, you are pep talking yourself every single day to show up to work.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
just kind of knew that that wasn't where I needed to be. Like I just kind of felt like this is my time here is done.
Now, after this unfortunate injury happened and sounds like they didn't help the situation, was it where you got ready to transition into what you're doing now, or did you do some things after that?
So it was a workers' comp case,
Hmm.
and workers' comp is, I call it like legal torture,
Okay.
because it takes so long for them to get back with you. It's hard for so many Americans that go through something like that. But it wasn't a very long period of time. I used to do makeup artistry for quinceañeras and weddings and things like that,
Hmm.
prom.
Hmm.
And so I just thought that if I become an esthetician, then I can still do this on the side. And I was still, healing. But I was like, I can do this on the side and then make a premium because I have this license. So my goal was to become an esthetician
Hmm.
and do makeup artistry. So I I want to say I left my job at the end of October, but by January I was already kind of getting ready to enroll
Hmm.
in school.
Okay. Okay. So you
Not
make
many people go from a bachelor's to like cosmetology school, but that's what I did.
Yeah, think about, what you shared there, and I still can correlate the two because you are interior design, making things look pretty, and now you're going to esthetician, which is still making people look pretty, so it's one of those things where they're very similar, just different mediums, and you ended up going into school. When you were going through the school, was your mindset for you to join one of those larger shops, or did you always have in mind you were going to be an entrepreneur?
I didn't really have in mind being an entrepreneur. I love when people tell me, like, oh, I had a business plan, I had all these ideas. And people ask me, how did your business start? And I was like, I was desperate and I was broke. And it kind of just happened.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't plan it. But when I was in aesthetic school, we had a school project, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
to make an exfoliant. And that exfoliant is what changed my life.
Okay. Okay. Oh, it's a product that you made while you were there.
Hmm.
Awesome. 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 Now, you made that product. You're still in school. It's kind of like, just a school project that you did. Was there an event that happened that made you say, you know what, I am going to skip out on joining a larger shop or a shop at all and then creating my own business? Was there an event that happened that made you do that?
So basically, that product I made, we had a massage therapist at that school.
Mm-hmm.
She has passed, so may she rest in peace. But her name was not Naomi, and Naomi was the first person that ever taught me what essential oils were.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught our whole class, and they would use it in massage. And this was, like I said, 13 years ago. I had never heard of what essential oils were. I had no idea. And for those that don't know, they're very concentrated botanical extracts that people get from flowers or herbs. So, like lavender is a very common one, eucalyptus. So I had never heard of those things, but mind you, I was 30 years old at the time, and I was still recovering from my back injury. I wasn't cleared to work yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I was 30 years old, living at my parents' house again, and never thought I'd see myself there again. But I kind of just felt like my life was a little bit in the weeds.
Mm-hmm.
But this, exfoliant that I had made, and really, if you think about it, it's quite easy. You get something that has an abrasive texture, coffee, salt, sugar, and then mix it with an oil, what have you, and then boom. But I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was spending a lot of time on my heating pad. So, and I'm also a self-proclaimed nerd, so I looked into this little formula, and I have really problematic skin. My entire family has psoriasis. I fortunately do not, at least yet. But have always been really acne prone. I've always had really sensitive skin. I
Mm-hmm.
was also born with red hair, and I'm also Latina, so it's like I tan well, but I also have like redhead like skin issues, so it's
Yes.
like
Yes.
all over
Yes.
the board.
Yeah.
So I was making this product basically to help my own needs because while I was in school, we have to do facials on each other to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And you're after a facial, you're supposed to have like a small breakout, maybe just things, clearing up. But I was having like reactions,
Okay.
like there's redness, it's hurting, and that's when I kind of became an ingredient nerd,
Mm-hmm.
kind of at the same time as this exfoliant thing. And so when I started looking at the ingredients of these really expensive products that they have us practicing with, that's when I kind of realized like these products are full of crap.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people are paying such a high price for crap
Mm-hmm.
um, kind of just blew my mind. And, it's pretty bad when you're like, male or female, but you're turning down free facials because you're just like, no, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what led to this product because I'm also not a good candidate for certain services because of my skin type.
Mm-hmm.
So I made this product and I called it Doll Face. And because one of my friends always called me Doll, or, that was a pet name.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I made this product, I just handed out, I had the leftovers. So I handed some to my high school or my college girlfriends. I gave some to the rest of my peers in my class. And I thought that that was the end of that project.
Mm-hmm.
Got an A, call it a day.
Right.
But it got to the point when they ran out of their jars, they were like, I had this pimple and it's gone now.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you put in here? And I was like, I used essential oils and I bought them at the store. And um, then it got to the point where they're like, can you make more? Like, I was like, well, I don't know. I guess I could. Like, well, we'll pay you for it.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm broke. Okay. So that's kind of how that started
Yeah.
was this class project, and then even my teacher was buying it for her son. My aesthetics teacher
Mm-hmm.
is who's been, familiar with all these other products out there, that she's worked in many spas. So
Mm-hmm.
the fact that that was kind of like a moment where I was like, my teacher's buying this product.
Right.
Like, okay. So that's where that kind of started
Okay.
was just I'm going to sell this at the farmers markets. And I made $100 at my first farmers market, and I
Okay.
hadn't seen $100 to my name in a while. So
Mm-hmm.
I was ready.
Nice,
So,
nice, nice. So your creativity, it born a product that was successful, was helping people, and then you started the business. I know you started at the farmers market, but tell us where you are now in the business. Tell us, who are those ideal people you want to get in contact with, those products that you're offering. Tell us all about the business now.
so it started off with that one product, doll face, and we, like I said, have been doing farmers markets for over a decade. But my line is over 60 products now. We
Mm-hmm.
have candles and aromatherapy as well. And then we have, of course, our skincare and body care, lotions, and all types of things. But the one little part that I left out that kind of was a big thing was that after I made that product and I was selling at the farmers market, my hometown had this like innovative entrepreneur grant competition going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so I entered it, and I was thinking like I'm going to show them before and after pictures. I had pages of testimonials, and I entered it, and then I'm pretty tall. I'm about 5'11",
Mm-hmm.
and so I put on my 5-inch heels
Mm-hmm.
and my blazer,
Yeah.
um, and was ready to pitch in this like Shark Tank kind of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in feeling like a baddie, and then I see 7 men.
Oh.
How am I supposed to explain this to 7 men? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
are they going to get it?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't win the grand prize, but I won second place, and that was $5,000, and
Okay.
that $5,000 paid for my website,
Oh,
and so
nice.
that was how my website got started.
Okay.
So it's just been bootstrapping from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of fighting for every little crumb, and I'm a crumb fighter.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Now, as we are painting the picture about the business and those people who could use the products that you offer, do you have like ideal clients or a story that you can share of someone that had an issue, they were able to come in contact with you, and you got it resolved?
So my ideal clients are, well, there's a range. It's either people with really sensitive skin,
Mm-hmm.
people with skin allergies, it's and then also people that are more conscious of wellness and like what they put in and on their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's there's a variety of people, and I can understand why people are kind of like burned by other products because they promise a lot of things, and that's not what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like a more herbal approach to skincare, and so like I said, our ideal customers are kind of people that are trying to be a little bit more aware. But it's funny because in America they say that 70% of women, I don't think they did the study on men, but I want to say it was women, but 70% of women say that they have sensitive skin. And I actually think that I can understand why they would think that, but I actually don't think that that's true. I think that they're sensitive because of the chemicals that are in other products
Mm-hmm.
that are on the stores. So they're having bad reactions to that, and that's making their skin sensitive. But without it, they would be, more normal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
would you say?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, what was the second part of your question?
Well, it's just trying to find out more about, the lines that you have, and I wanted you to give us an idea of an engagement that you had with a client. So let's say they
Oh,
had
yes, yes, yes.
acne or they had a skin issue and how you were helped to resolve that for them.
So that is actually what is like my driving force as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
because when you're your own boss, it's really hard when you don't get praise, and call me a golden retriever, but sometimes I just like a little pat on the back
Mhm.
and like you're doing a good job, and it's really hard because I don't have anybody like above me really saying that unless it's a mentor.
Mhm.
So getting feedback from customers is like what I live for, and I don't think that they realize how much it like feeds my soul, really.
Mhm.
But I did have one mother. This one always sticks out to me because it was just like a special, it was very touching. But she said that she has, this son that he had like kind of a longer haircut,
Mhm.
but he would always like, he had such broken out skin that he was constantly like covering his face. It was like he was hiding behind his hair.
Mm-hmm.
And then she sent me a picture of them at a like doing a game night at their house, and he had his hair pulled back and he was smiling and his skin was all cleared up, and she was like, "Thank you for bringing my son back.
Okay.
You know, you just, I haven't seen him be like this in a really long time. He's so confident now, and I didn't realize how much this was affecting him."
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that is just, how do you compare to a mother saying like, "Thanks for bringing my son,
Yeah.
his personality back."
Yeah, that's a great testimonial there because, I can see how she saw him hiding all the time and not wanting to go anywhere. And now that you were able to provide that opportunity for him to have a clear skinned face, he's there, he's vibrant, he's happy, and he's able to show his personality. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that. Now, as you were explaining about the business, you said, you were doing farmers markets, local things. Do you have it where people can get the products all over the country now? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, we have a website. It's called shopintheweeds.com. And so, yeah, In the Weeds became my signature.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always been In the Weeds, but we've changed our name from Natural Skincare, In the Weeds Natural Skincare, to In the Weeds Premium Botanical Products, because we, offer more than just skincare.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have a website. We ship nationwide. We
Okay.
also have our local farmers markets here, and we have a little shop boutique where people can shop locally every day.
Okay, well, that's a good deal. Now, of course, I'm going to ask, of course, how people can find that a little bit later, but I do want to talk about some of those skills that you acquired and nurtured through the ups and downs of your career, because throughout your career, things were looking bright when you got ready to go to the furniture store, but it didn't work out, but you continued to go forward. You didn't even know what was going to happen when you created that project and it turned into it. Can you share with the audience that's watching today some of those best practices or business skills that have helped you to be successful?
Some of the business skills that have helped me, one of them, so when you did your little wave like that, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh no, it's more like this. Like, you got peaks and valleys.
I
And
got you.
one of the things that I am constantly saying, if somebody asks me, like, what is a piece of advice, it's the resiliency that I think that being an entrepreneur, sure, it sounds all exciting. Being a boss, of course, everyone thinks that I have all the time in the world. I make my own schedule, which is not true. But resiliency is very important. And I think that it needs to be emphasized a little bit more when people are going to start a business, because one thing I say, and I said it to my sister recently, I was like, I get told no a lot.
Mhm.
And you have to be able to take like 19 no's for
Right.
one yes. And they
Yes.
used to say 9 out of 10. I really think it's 19 out of 20. So you have to be able to take the hits and, keep on kicking. So that's probably my biggest takeaway would be, well, that would be one of them. The next one would be discomfort means, or being comfortable means that it's time to grow.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not uncomfortable, then you're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so every single level that you master, you have to go and accept that the next level has a bunch of stuff that you don't know, and you have to be okay in your discomfort
Mm-hmm.
to learn the things at that level, because otherwise you're just going to stay, you know, at
Yeah.
the bottom tier.
Yeah. You'll just stay static from there.
Climb, honey.
Yes, yes. Go ahead and shoot for those stars. You never know where you'll land. Those are some great pieces of advice. I definitely appreciate you sharing that. It's just totally important just to continue to keep going because it's not going to go how you want. That's just the way that life is. But
That is the way life
you
is.
can't let it deter you though. You just got to keep pushing through. Now, we've talked a lot about your journey, the business. You shared some of those best practices, and we truly do appreciate that. But we want to kind of turn the corner just a little bit and talk about you and yourself. So let's just say that the products are just flying off the shelves. You can barely even keep up with those mail out orders. Time and money is not an issue. What
Face
is,
the universe.
yes, yes. What is it that you would do with your time?
With my time,
Mm-hmm.
Well, anybody that knows me well, I don't have children, but I feel like I was put on this earth to be a voice for animals.
Okay.
I have three dogs. I only allowed one to be next to me next to this meeting because we don't trust the other two. She's the old lady. But I would probably be more involved in animal rescue.
Mm-hmm.
I live very close to where the Kerr County flooding
Okay.
was that
Okay.
happened last month.
Mm-hmm.
And I follow all the stories about the animals and the shelters and um, people trying to donate and things like that. So I would probably be more involved with, giving animals a voice.
Mm-hmm.
I also um, don't partake in I won't go to a zoo unless they have like a animal rehabilitation part to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in caging, animals. SeaWorld, you'll never see me at SeaWorld.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a very strong passion. And that's also why I have a plant-based business. A lot of people ask for tallow products, and I'm just like, I don't want to, rub cow fat on me.
Mm-hmm.
To people that do, that's fine, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to tell anybody what to do with their lives. But I just feel like, I can tell they have feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important to me.
Yeah. 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 Awesome. Awesome. Now, what type of dogs do you have?
I have BB Sweet Pea. She's a pity mix.
Okay.
And then I have the Dum Dums.
Okay.
I have Birdie, who is also a pit bull mix. And then Chorizo is a little guy that I found in the parking lot a couple
Okay.
years ago. And
Okay.
my pit bull and the little guy are best friends. And
Okay.
I wasn't trying to have three dogs again because I
Mm-hmm.
had already had three dogs and I had to put two down during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But the big guy and the little guy are best friends.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I can hear them upstairs.
Right now.
Yeah, so I live in a live work unit where I live upstairs and then the business is downstairs. So
Okay.
they're upstairs
Court
running around.
course playing right now, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I don't trust y'all. Y'all are gonna embarrass me.
I
So,
get I got you. Well,
but this is their home too. So
right, 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 right. And who have you had the longest?
Phoebe, she's 12. We just had a potty for
Okay.
her.
A
But
pot.
I had my first dog, Jake. He was about 17 before he passed away.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. We truly do like when our guests are able to tell a little bit about themselves. We always talk about the business, but there's a reason why we do these things. And I appreciate you sharing that. Now, if the people that are watching today have questions about your business, they have questions about some of those best practices, or even just part of your story, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
The best way to get in contact with me would be my direct email, which would be lika@shopintheweeds.com.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
my name is Lika.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lika@shopintheweeds.com, but you can also reach me on my website. There's a direct link to our other info website there. I used to have a phone number that we'd give out, but there are so many spam calls. So if you
Mm-hmm.
see the number, you can still text it,
Yeah.
but we don't answer the phone anymore because it is just ridiculous
It's
how
so
many calls that are
so
like,
crazy.
yeah, they can look up a business name and I'm just like, did y'all know, realize like I don't this doesn't even pertain to me.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't
Mm-hmm.
do their own research, but I have to answer the phone.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Well, hopefully those people go ahead and reach out to you. It sounds like you have put together a magnificent business that focuses on botanicals and just are there to help aid you in your skincare, as well as aromatherapy and all those things. So I want people to reach out to you. And again, we appreciate you coming on and sharing. And we always honor our guests by giving you guys the last word. So if you can, please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
Let's see. So one of my favorite quotes that actually I've had from the beginning is that a weed is no more than a flower in disguise. Our logo is a dandelion, and though it is classified as a weed, it is something that everybody, or at least, little kids and I and me still, will blow and make a wish on. And so it's funny that people look down on something like weeds, but they also make wishes on them. So I kind of think that it's a perspective that of how you look at things. And it's really easy to, in this day and age, there's a lot of negative things going on in the world.
Mhm.
So I think that self-care is also extremely important. And self-care is just as basic as, brushing your teeth and washing your face and doing the things to take care of yourself. And if you're not taking care of yourself, then, it's such a cliche thing to say, but you can't really take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself. And so I like to call myself a maker of self-care moments for others,
Hmm.
which I have on my Instagram page, but we're also on Instagram too. So if anybody wants to follow us and kind of like learn a little bit more and see some fun videos, you can always find us on In the Weeds period botanical products too.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Of course. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.